All right, everybody. Welcome to the Brewer Fanatic NLDS Game 2 reaction. I'm Jason Wang, joined here by Wakey Jake. Jake, what time is it over there right now in the land of the Ire?
It is 5:16 a.m. and I am feeling every bit of it. I won't lie to you. Excuse anyone who sees this and enjoys my little PJ set.
Are you calling out of work today?
Um, Depends how I wake up in a few hours.
Oh
But
man.
we'll see. We'll see. Nah, I think I'll be good to go in. Think I'll be good, but might have to push through it a wee bit.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully the Brewers gave you some fuel to motivate your day. Man, what a game. What a game. What are your initial takeaways? Like, they just got the last out. What are your thoughts? How you feeling?
Um, I mean, Miz is currently giving an interview there, and I have to say, I think he was pretty much the one that really locked things down. It seemed like those first two innings went on for like it was almost an hour for the first couple of innings alone. Um, but the way Miz sort of came in, and I was chatting to someone I do a little bit of fantasy baseball with, and they actually made a really good point. Just that Mizorowski has had this real habit of when things go wrong a little bit, they really start to spiral. And his control and command, like he would be dotting a pitch and then he'd be 3 feet off the plate. It wasn't all there. It wasn't probably his most technically perfect outing, but he found a way to get out, and that's something he's really missed down sort of the second half of this year. And for him to lock that in his first postseason appearance is just nuts. Like that is just everything you could have asked for from the young man. Like, well, what stood out to you, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's the offense, right? So, I mean, after game one, Brock and I were talking about the fact that the Brewers are a pretty light hitting team. They're, looked up with the ball in play, looking for line drives, doubles at the most, and they dropped 9 runs with 0 homers. And today they must have seen that and we're like, dude, watch this. Because, man, 3 big bombs, massive stuff. You and I both saw Aaron Ashby give a 3-run homer to Seiya Suzuki, and we're like, okay, maybe it's not today. I don't know. And then Andrew Vaughn, he gets that look in his eyes. He gets that Silence of the Lambs, like, liver, Chianti, fava beans look in his eyes. And he's like, I'm going to take this deep. And he tied it up. And I think, dude, that killed the Cubs' momentum. I could just kind of see it. It's funny, every time anything happens for the Brewers, it's good. They pan over to Craig Counsell immediately. And this guy's like going through it. He's like, oh, dude, what am I doing? And yeah, Contreras, bomb. Churio, like, we were thinking, is he even going to play the rest of the series given the hamstring? He's like, dude, I'm going to do more than play, buddy. Boom, bomb. And that I think I saw on Twitter, it was off 101, off of Palencia. That's the
Yeah,
fastest pitch ever to be hit for a home run in the postseason in the Statcast era. So, guess he's not that injured. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I did wonder for a little bit. He looked a little ginger at times, like he'd be full sprint in the field, and then there's a couple of times he grabbed or he sort of hop stepped, and I was the things go through your head a wee bit, and then it was literally he just hop stepped before that inning, and it was like, oh yeah, maybe he'll come out again, maybe he'll be out of the game. Then he steps up, 0-2 count, and to drill 101. I mean, I don't know why Palencia went 3 straight fastballs in that count. But look, you get a pitch. You're not in control of what you get. You're in control of what you're doing with it. So
Right.
he absolutely roped it as well. So no,
Yeah.
it was almost enjoyable watching PCA think he actually had a chance to pull that back in. He did have me in 10 at one point, but like he nearly folded himself over the barrier for like something that was like 40 feet above him. Like,
Yeah, he
calm
had me
down.
fooled because he was going back on it, and I was like, oh wait, is this? Because it's hard on TV, you don't get to see
Yeah.
it until it's kind of landing, and I'm like, wait, does he have it? Is it a warning track? Is it gonna be a robbery? And then it's like 75 meters, just it's out of here, and I was like, yeah, that wasn't close. I don't know, and again, it's sad because you see him kind of just like he has no chance of fielding this ball, and he just sits on the ground, and he's like, damn, that's crazy. That's all you could do is watch it go.
I felt the same actually for the Andrew Vaughan bomb. I saw Ian Happ going back and going back, and you were like, oh, this is a lazy fly ball. And then he went back a bit further. I was like, oh, a little further. oh, and then obviously ends up like in the second deck, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, dude, offense, great shout.
I was trying to read the crowd off that one, and I was like, oh, this. I was just kept shouting. My girlfriend's getting ready for work, and I was like, there's just no way. There's just no way. And then it just get louder and louder and louder, and when I was like, there's just no way, dude. Like at a 39-degree launch angle, it very much seemed like a just kind of like a warning track pop, and that tied the game. And I think just from there, they just got nothing done. And I feel like aside from the offense, like this team is fueled. Like if I had to describe the way these guys are playing, it's fueled. They're fired up. They're gassed up. They're lit.
Yeah.
Whatever generation, well, however you want to say that, they're excited. They're playing with pep in their step. Everything. Obviously they're hitting. They're celebrating homers like it's the World Series. They're making these crazy defensive plays. Andrew Vaughn, looking like Keith Hernandez today, 11-time Gold Glover, making just absolutely ridiculous plays. And then like Sal Frelick in the fifth inning, both he and Jackson Chiro making long runs to get foul balls. Balls in foul territory to get the outs, and everything is hustle. Caleb Durbin, so this stood out to me too, right? He wore 100 on the elbow, and you would have thought that it was like a wiffle ball. He was like, nice, I'm going to first base. If I were 100 on the elbow from Daniel Plenty, I'm crying. I don't
Yeah.
care what this is. I'm crying. I'm sitting down and I'm crying.
Yeah, it was like, oh, I'll keep the elbow there. I'll move it away just enough to only barely get clipped, which I feel like makes it significantly worse when it just clips your elbow rather than like full on smacks into the like.
Right.
The dude is tough as nails. Is that just like a short king thing, Jason, or is that like?
Dude, I on the broadcast they were like, yeah, Durbin's he's a wrestler, he's a football player, like his head is a perfect square. This guy is a character straight out of the Minecraft movie, dude. And that's how you know this guy's rough and tumble. And everybody's saying that's why Pat Murphy loves him so much. Is like whatever he needs to do, he's gonna do it. He's gonna grind it out. He's gonna grind out a long at bat. He's gonna make a long run. He's gonna make the tough throw. He's gonna make the tough play at third. And we're seeing the impacts of that. Like I wrote an article a couple days ago about how he might be the X factor. Maybe not in the most obvious way where he's hitting 3-run bombs all the time, but it's these little things where he's doing everything right on the field fundamentally. That's kind of like eking out these small advantages that over a 9-inning game, that could be the difference between a win and a loss. So, I mean, I've loved him since day one, but, he just continues to show up.
Funny, every time they start talking about things like, he could be a track star, he could be a wrestler, he could be a lawyer, he could be a medic. I just get that like Twain song in my head of he is a baller, he could be a wrestler, the star of the show. That's the last time I'll sing.
No, I mean, he's such a well-rounded kid, and I think what they meant by that is like, again, his resilience, dude, he'll wear a pitch. I think it was like the 26th time he's gotten pegged this year. Dude, that's 26 times on base. That's the way he sees it. He's not seeing it as like, man, they're targeting me. I got a target on my back. I got to get my revenge. Like, I got to get that smoke. I'm going to be in the Cubs locker room, like, finding who did it to me. He's like, that's bringing my on-base percentage up. And I think that's the kind of fire these guys are all playing with. And, man, this is a big 2-0, I think, for these teams to go up in the series.
I don't know. I mean, yes, but then there's part of me that remembers the Cubs winning 3 straight in August, I think it was, to take the sort of season series. And also, given the recent history of Brewer heartaches, there's a little piece of me that would say, well, that Mets loss was pretty harrowing last year. And it's like the gods up there just saying, dangling their puppets saying, could we top that? Could we? Could we make it worse? And so, like, you just can't take anything for granted in the postseason. Yes, obviously, 2 up, you're sitting there thinking, even in match teams, should be 50-50 call. You probably have like an 87% chance of winning from here. Like, that would be statistically expected. Mm-hmm. But it's baseball. Right. It is known for screwing people up. And the Dodgers did this last year. The Padres came out of the wild card series, won the first 2 against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers then swept the next 3. Now, the Padres were on fire at that point, then just couldn't score a run after that. Right. But like these things happen. I'm being too doom and gloom. Maybe I'm just tired, Jason. Give me some optimism. Give me something upbeat.
I mean, I think you have a good point. I think that first inning, honestly, is a good illustration of like just how dangerous this team is. Because you look at that Aaron Ashby outing, and it's like this lineup is still full of professional hitters on the Cubs. They can do damage if you make mistakes, right? So the first of you guys, like Nico Horner hits a pitch way outside, pushes it away, gets a hit in the gap. Kyle Tucker passed on 4 balls, right? Like they were not close pitches. And they want to take that, and obviously Seiya Suzuki, he gets a flat changeup that gets left too high. It was so flat. Statcast called it a four-seam fastball, but we know
Yeah.
Aaron Ashby throws fuel, and it was 91 and gone, right? That's how things got started. And at Wrigley, like, at AmFam, where there's a ton of Brewers fans, they're packing out the house. This is like one of the best seasons. I mean, this is the best season in franchise history by total wins. The backing of and support of the fans is going to be a huge tailwind for the Brewers. You go to Wrigley, that's enemy territory, right? Like, is that going to be enough? Like, are the Brewers pitchers going to make more mistakes like the ones that they did? And even like you said with Miz, right? He's missing wide a lot. His command is like 50. It's either like he's painting 104 jet fuel in the corner, or he's throwing it in the other batter box, right? And so I
Yeah.
think like those things we're gonna have to see. Something that I talked to Brock after their game one as well is like, how are they going to perform under that pressure of being on foreign territory in one of the most energetic stadiums in MLB?
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see if the rain plays any sort of part in this because it is October in Chicago. I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing, it rains there, but at this time of year. But even more so, I think the wind. So the wind has such a big effect there. If the wind is blowing in, someone like I would say that Contreras homer is out and the Suzuki one is out. I don't think the Andrew Vaughn one goes, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the Jackson Churio one maybe just gets held up with the wind coming in. So you see how a pitcher like an Imanaga would be very successful there. Now, if he
Right.
pitched again, it wouldn't be to game 5 again back in, as Matt likes to change all our articles to say, in Uger Field. But yeah, I do think that Jameson Tyone, I think, is a very good pitcher. Quinn Priester, very fastball heavy, hasn't had a
Mm-hmm.
ton of success against the Cubs. It could go either way. Like that's a solid matchup. Then you're saying, right, Freddie Peralta, let's go again. And been great, but again, we all know Freddie's prone to blow up outing. Again, I'm being too negative, but I'm just thinking that within those confines, whether if the wind is blowing out on a fly ball pitcher start, you're in trouble.
Right.
Um, so part of that does concern me, but then the other part says that actually Quinn Priester has done a really good job keeping the ball on the ground. Some of his stuff against the Cubs, he's had a couple of outings where, if I remember back correctly, the one back in May, it's not the Quinn Priester that you're seeing now. One of the more recent ones where he walked maybe 5, it was probably the worst command I'd actually seen from him in probably 2 to 3 months at that point. So, if he's on his game and the way he's able to mix that sinker and cutter and make use of that defense beside him, I don't know if Joey Ortiz had a put out today. Everything was in the air,
Yeah.
but it was nuts. But yeah, no, I think I would have confidence still in a Quinn Priester start of being able to get through things. You have another day off, so you still have another really fresh bullpen. This is really weird. Having
Yeah.
these days off, you could have run your A bullpen 3 times in a row at this point. Like,
Dude, you got to sell more ads, baby. It's not, those tweets aren't going to buy themselves, man. I mean, I've been getting Corona ads. I'm like, dude, La Playa awaits, bro. You gotta stretch it out over more days to make that happen. But I think an interesting point you brought up was Quinn Priester. I know a lot of people thought he was going to start game 2 today. People thought, oh, well, Ashby's going to be the opener. Then Priester's going to get the ball. He didn't take the field. So what are your thoughts on what the decision-making process was behind that and when he is going to take the ball eventually?
so it was interesting. I think Jose Quintana was in the bullpen today, and I think the way they were looking at it, I haven't necessarily looked into the home away splits, whether they think that maybe they're not fully confident in Quintana, and I wouldn't be, especially against this Cubs offense, because of the way that they lay off those pitches outside of the zone. If you force Quintana over the heart of the plate, you're in trouble. And of all teams in baseball, the Cubs are one of the best at that. And then they do damage. So I think managing to find a way to avoid Quintana is a good thing, but also they were going to use him if, say, for example, they got off to that big flying start. Say if they were up 4 or 5-0, and then they could turn around and say, right, we're going to use Miz, we're going to use Quintana, we're going to keep things steady, or Yeah, in fact, they probably use Quintana instead of Mizorowski. Then again, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the Priester being moved as long as he is getting to see innings as a bulk pitcher. I think he's fully earned that right at this point. I am curious how he mixes it up. So he's a very sinker cutter heavy pitcher, and he has mixed those very well. The slider has been effective, but it has been for the most part a chase pitch. Again, something the Cubs have been good at not doing. So they've also been one of the best teams in baseball at slugging against sinkers. So look, it is a matchup that isn't necessarily made for him, but especially if the wind is blowing out, you would turn around and say that Quinn Priester is a really good guy to have just because he keeps the ball on the ground so consistently. So,
Right.
look, he's a big game sort of guy. He seems like the type of person who's going to rise to a big moment. So, fingers crossed that's what we see another 2 days from now. So, La Playa, you got some time for it, Jace?
La Playa awaits, guys.
Exactly. I don't know, like, what do you think? Do you think there's any sort of shenanigans involved? Do you think it was very much going one pitch by the next? Do you think they had like a plan out there? Like, how do you think Murphy sort of has managed, even not just today, how do you think he's actually managed over the first couple of games?
Dude, scheming. I think it's been pretty. I mean, hindsight is always 2020. Like he could have maybe tried out the same lineup. A couple balls could have gone a little further. Luck could have swung the other way, and we'd be sitting here talking about, dude, we need to bring back. We should have hired Skip Schumacher. I think so far it's been good. I mean, the results have shown it, right? Like the Cubs have had a really hard time getting their offense going outside of the first inning. Funnily enough, right? I mean, the last, what was it, like 15, 16 Cubs got retired in a row. Really just not being able to dig in and get any sort of momentum going. I do think it's interesting. There are a couple guys we haven't seen yet, right? So you brought up Jose Quintana, you brought up Quinn Priester. Robert Gasser is still around. Could get some work. I'm waiting for the Grant Anderson, bro. What's going on with that? That's Twitter's favorite brewer, Grant Anderson. What's going on with that?
Yeah, if he had given up that home run today instead of Aaron Ashby, Twitter would have gone nuts.
Dude, people were like, how did Grant Anderson make the roster and Eric Fetty got cut? Like, what's going on with that? I was like, dude, Jack was like, yeah, so Grant Anderson's a better pitcher than Eric Fetty. Period. I was like, hey, I believe it.
All the little monkeys I had in the back were sitting there. I had them all typing rigorously, just been like,
the bot farm, the Ireland.
Yeah, exactly, an absolute bot farm. But no, you're right. I mean, there's going to be guys who don't really get the pitch. Gasser is interesting because I think the Brewers really want that lefty heavy sort of bullpen option just for dealing with the top of that Cubs order. And if you can get to the fifth or sixth inning and there's maybe a big spot and they actually take Michael Busch out, I consider that a win just by using like Robert Gasser in those sort of situations. I think regardless, Quinn Priester probably won't go past twice through the order and might even get an opener like a Gasser and then go basically. So he only sees a Michael Busch, a Kyle Tucker, like one time through, which would be, you couldn't blame Pat Murphy for that either. Until he gets a change up, those sort of platoon splits are there for a reason. So I think you might see Gasser coming out in the next game. Ashby certainly didn't show himself out of a ton of glory. I mean, one of the big things is we hear from Pat Murphy all the time. We hear from the other players, can I win the next pitch? I think there were a bunch of times today where Aaron Ashby didn't win his pitch. There were times in the first game when after the first couple of innings, the Brewers stopped battling, pitch by pitch. So there have been like little switch offs and little lows. They haven't been exploited yet the way they could be. You just had an offensive barrage, but realistically, you can't expect the Brewers to score another 8-9 runs, on Wednesday's game either. If you come down to 2, 3, 4 on game, those mistakes are going to hurt. And I do think there's little things that they could be better at. I think you might see Gasser instead of Ashby, just because those sweepers, those off-speed pitches are so effective. Actually, I think Jack wrote about that today at Brewer Fanatic. If anyone's about to go check that out, I will plug you, Jack. So Yeah, I think Gasser might be coming out. Long and short, that's a very long-winded way of saying that, isn't it, Jason? I am rambling. Please do cut me off.
I mean this is how bullpen management goes, right? Especially with the fact that they're doing this one day on, one day off kind of business. Like
Mhm.
that's a very, unorthodox cadence in which to play baseball. Like you play a 162 game season, you're playing darn near every day, or you're on a plane going to play every day. Yesterday was just a straight up off day. They're already in town, so how rested everybody is, and also like Nick Mears pitched today. He threw 3 pitches. This guy is like the most efficient. Like this guy was like, all right, you're gonna throw however many pitches to the bullpen, 3 pitches. All right, you're done. Like go drink some Gatorade, eat some seeds, hang out. So I wouldn't call him like really depleted by any means. And there's just a lot of guys that can give you more length if you really need it, right? Like Chad Patrick is a starter. He pitched like an inning 2/3, something like that. Nothing crazy.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad Uribe got in the game. I was kind of waiting for it. I thought McGill maybe they. I mean, I didn't think that they were actually going to stretch him out, but it was like it's cool to see, man. It really. I honestly forgot how many guys in this Brewers bullpen can sit upper 90s and top out at 100. It's
yeah,
honestly ridiculous. It's the most random thing ever of like, back in the day. I mean, I've been watching baseball that long, but like, back in the day, even in 2022, you'd see a guy throw 100 and you're like, oh, that guy's like, he's next up. Like, he's going to get the next big contract. He's going to be like Felix Bautista. They're like, where did this guy come from? Mason Miller, where did this guy come from? And now you got Jared Koenig, who is like a random lefty. He topped out at 100 today.
yeah.
And you got a 6'19", 21-year-old with 13 letters in his last name, throwing 104 across 3 innings. And it's just ridiculous how much velocity they're getting out of their arms with a total lack of honestly recognizable names.
And Jared Koenig, like, it's so easy. We did not know this guy until he came into camp because he
Yeah,
threw 89 miles an hour fastballs with the
yeah,
Oakland A's. He's
yeah.
now he's not hitting 100. He's hitting triple digits. I'm sorry. We've seen this stuff on Twitter today, Jason. People are
Mm,
saying the Brewers are cheating. They're cheating. If you're looking for cheating, they've done something with him. They've like cut his arm off and replaced it with like a robot arm. There's something going on. That is nuts. That a professional organization to another professional organization and you jump 11 miles an hour.
yeah.
Like that's flabbergasting.
You know what it probably is? He's getting those Costa Rican stem cells that Kirk Cousins got. I was watching this like the quarterback documentary, and they're like talking about Kirk Cousins. He's just like getting stem cells somewhere, and he's like, "Oh, they really helped me out." And then he got benched, so didn't help him out that much. But yeah, dude, like that's not fair. Like you're facing 5, 6 arms, all dialing up with some disgusting breaking ball offering. Each shape is grosser than the last. And then you got guys like Ashby, who like Ashby is really like a sinker curve guy. Like his changeup is like whatever. His slider he doesn't throw it that much, but there's variety and there's so many long reliever arms. I mean, dude, can you imagine if we had like DL Hall was cooking, if Woody was healthy? Like this would be
Yeah.
just an illegal postseason
Yeah.
pitching staff.
Part of me is like it would be unfair on the Cubs who have lost. Now, don't get me wrong, the Brewers have had far more injuries in terms of quantity this year, but they lost Justin Steele earlier in the year, and then
Mm-hmm.
Kate Horton as a rookie to have him go down basically with a broken rib. I don't know if he was like I don't quite know how he managed to break his rib while pitching. That's quite impressive in some ways, but with no contact, like just whatever. But he was dialed, and to lose him, I think us losing Woody at least is somewhat comparable. And teams are going to lose pitchers. The Phillies are down Zach Wheeler, but on the other hand, you're thinking. Part of me wonders if the Brewers do end up pulling this off and ending up in a World Series. Brandon Woodruff will pitch an inning, and it will be could be one of those fairy tale endings, or they'll lose 3 games, and I will forget that I ever had that thought. Like postseason, anyway. Yeah, and then you look even across the board, and you see the Dodgers and the Phillies sort of games today, and the big names on show. Rookie Sasaki has learned how to pitch again. And you're sort of like, well, how would you make it through an NLCS? Just a bunch of average Joes, as Murphy likes to call them. But
I'm watching. I don't know if you caught the end of that Dodgers Phillies game, but man,
The
I don't
bunt.
want to be too optimistic. Again, you're right. Past couple years not been kind to the Brewers in October, but the Dodgers seem very beatable. That
Mhm.
bullpen is susceptible to making mistakes that
Yeah.
average Joe hitters will take advantage of because they're not looking to take a daddy hack big swing, OG slamming it 550 out the park. They don't need the home run, right? They're willing to put it in play. Singles are cool. Getting hit by pitches is cool. Put your body on the line. It's cool. Get on base. I mean, dude. That my buddy was about to have a heart attack watching that game because watching the Dodgers bullpen come close to blowing every single save opportunity, it's a tough watch. And for the Brewers, I'm thinking like, man, like that would be a great NLCS matchup if both those teams advance. And also, I think it'd be a great David versus Goliath, like $300 kajillion Monopoly money budget versus like 17 Polish guys and Caleb Durbin. Like let's see who's the best. And dude, like I like the Brewers' chances. And it's
Yeah.
after these two games, first game, you know what, could have called it a fluke. Like 9 runs is just insane. Second game, man, they did it again. I think they showed up and kind of demonstrated that they're able to do a lot of things that maybe people didn't think that they could do, mostly hitting the long ball. And part of that
Mhm.
was maybe like luck or park conditions. But, how are you feeling after another game, another solid victory against the Cubs? How are you feeling about the Brewers, like chances and championship equity at this point?
I think the big thing is that they look kind of back to that July, August, early September, that locked in status that they were. And then obviously you're miles ahead. This is a team who thrives in competition. It's maybe not a surprise they struggled a wee bit when that need for wins dropped down a little bit. But to come out just firing like this, where they really are, especially at the plate, I think Joey Ortiz has remembered what a walk looks like, which is miraculous in and of itself. But no, I'm feeling pretty confident on the back of that sort of mentality and the ability to fight back. It's not something we've really seen in previous postseasons. I mean, we saw it a little bit last year with the Garrett Mitchell, with the home run, Jackson Churio 2 home run game when you're 1-0 down, or in an elimination game, basically. Um, and so we've seen bits and spurts, but realistically, we haven't seen those big moments go for the Brewers for a while. So to see, going 1-0 down in your first game, and then 2 hitters later, we're back all square. Then you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, we're big home run, Cubs setting a marker down," and then Andrew Vaughn says, "This might be a good time for my first home run in 2 months, little over 2 months now." Okay, brilliant. So in terms of like the offense, I'm pretty confident. I do think there's still some worries in the pitching staff. There's some up and downs, the Ashbys, the Mizierowskis, the even Jared Koenig, the right-handers, getting exposed by Nico Horner in game
Mm-hmm.
one. Nick Mears doesn't fill me with a ton of confidence. So if you're not getting, and Freddie Peralta isn't, can be up and there's a lot of up and downs and unknowns in this that could fire or could crash and burn. So I think one thing that might be interesting is how they actually even line up for game three. So you have a right-hander on the mound. So the question would be, and here's one for you, Jason. Jackson Churio has a bit of a hamstring injury. You're
Right.
2-0 up.
Mm.
One of your hottest hitters hasn't actually left the bench yet in Jake Bowers, who got some left field time. Would you start Jake Bowers in game three over Jackson Churio?
Dude, that's so hard. I think it really depends on like the severity of his injury. Like you said, it's like very uncertain. I thought it was super suspect. They were like, "Oh, the MRI was non-deterministic, so we're just gonna play him and he's gonna hit lead off and yeah, good luck." And then someone on the broadcast was like, "Oh, I think that they like looked at the MRI, didn't see anything good, and they just threw it out." And they're like, "Oh, I guess we'll never know."
Yes, he's fine.
Um, yeah, like I was. It's suspect because again we don't have the full details, and I don't know if this is like a short-term gain for a long-term punishment type of thing where like, oh, if it gets re-aggravated in a future game then he's like totally out for the CS, or God forbid, the World Series. Jake Bauers is cool. I like Jake Bauers. He's a cool guy, Yankees legend. But he's just not Jackson Chourio. So I think like if I can get this like 14-year-old phenom outfielder who loves the big moment and doesn't shy away, I'm gonna take him as much as I can get without endangering the future value of what I'm gonna get out of him for the rest of this run.
So do you put Jake Bowers in ahead of Andrew Vaughn?
Dude, oh,
There's one.
I mean, maybe like I again like starting. I don't know, right? Like starting, it's
That's the thing. It's Jameson Taillon. It's a right-hander. Those sort of splits actually, for the ones the Brewers have found people without a reverse platoon split, which is makes it a bit easier.
yeah.
But
We'll see. Dude, this is why we don't get paid. This is why Pat Murphy gets paid to store food in his pockets and like make these decisions. We just watch from the sidelines, right?
and Craig Counsell gets paid more to make the same decisions, but incorrectly.
Okay, I don't. I can't even hate. It's hard for me to tell how much of it is like the Cubs messing up versus the Brewers just being that good. Honestly speaking,
It's just baseball, isn't it? When you
yeah,
put good
exactly.
teams, anybody can win. Heck, I remember like one of my first seasons following baseball. I think it was the Pittsburgh Pirates had a double sweep over the Dodgers in the regular season, and that, if anything, could tell you that anything can happen in baseball. That, like, it was your highest win versus your lowest win team,
Right.
6-0, and. When you put anyone in the three at best of 5-game series, anything can happen. And unfortunately, it's going the Brewers' way. You can't say it hasn't gone the Cubs' way, though, in some ways. The Brewers, I think, even the deserve to win ometer, that thing that goes around where it shows the quality of batted balls, what you'd expect to get in terms of bases, that they deserve to win game one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always play out like that, but, they at least earned it. I would imagine it'll be something similar in this game. I think they made better contact overall. But it's a crapshoot. Sometimes you just hit a home run with 3 men on base. Someone else hits 2 home runs with no one on base at the wrong times. Good luck.
Yeah, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I think for me, like, you brought this up earlier, but the pitching is concerning to me too. I think part of it is like, I don't know if this is FOMO. I think there have been some ridiculous starting pitching performances across the postseason this year, like Cam Schlittler, Trey Savage against the Yankees, Tarek Skubal against Cleveland. Like the Brewers haven't really had a dominant. Again, they've only had 2 games, so it's not as much of a sample. But the Brewers haven't really had anybody come out and just like shut stuff down. We're like, wow, this dude is unhittable. This dude is throwing 4 perfect innings. He's given us 6 shutout, 1 hit ball. Freddie was like he did fine the first game. I think he only gave up 2 earned. This game was obviously a bullpen game, so kind of guys in and out. But even like I think Miz probably had the most innings at 3. Like you said, command issues, walk some guys. I wonder if that's gonna be able to be sustained against better competition in longer series. Like this is obviously a best of 5, but a best of 7 in the CS and the World Series. Like, people like to say pitching wins playoff games. It definitely doesn't not win games. I don't think it's like the only thing that you need, but it's like I feel like most postseason, like successful World Series runs that I've seen in the past few years, they've always had 1 or 2 guys that were like just disgusting on the mound. And I don't know if we've had that yet or if we will have that ever this year.
It is the most Brewers thing in the world, though, to turn around and say, you have one guy going 8 dominant innings. We'll just get 8 guys all going 8 dominant, like combined going 8 dominant innings, and we'll make it up in the aggregate.
Yeah.
So, but I do get you. You're kind of waiting for someone just to put the team in his back, and unfortunately, the only person who might be able to do that is probably Peralta. Priester might, but it will take a lot of sort of ground balls. I don't think they'll give him a whole lot of leeway. I think they'll treat him with a lot of caution against this lineup. Yeah. So look, we will see. But even the way a Chad Patrick pitched today, and he needs a shout out because he found this sort of slurve that he had going maybe the last couple of starts of the season. It's filthy. Yeah, that face is that face describes it perfectly, Jason. Oh my
Dude,
gosh, that
I think
thing.
the first punch out he got, I literally was like, "What was that?"
Yeah, like it's it's for a guy who's just been so fastball heavy, looking for that put away pitch with a velo separation. Like you're just that's it's almost there, you know.
Yeah,
And I think it's going to be huge for him going into next year. But even now, like the dude's like sitting 97 now, and then
yeah,
throwing that disgusting pitch off it, and his
yeah,
cutter like he has like three. He can throw the cutter like as much movement as he wants. He just toys with people.
yeah.
Like
This
this
guy,
is a good pitcher, you know. So
Chad
when you have
Patrick.
arms like that, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Chad Patrick is like a whiter, shorter version of you, Darvish, where he's just like, I'm gonna like slightly like tweak my pitch on the spectrum depending on what I want to get out of it. Um, Dude, great outing today. Yeah, I think it was a slurve against PCA. I was like, I mean, also PCA.
Yeah,
I'm a big PCA guy, but man, those chasing stuff, man, it is killing him this postseason, and the Brewers are taking advantage of it. Dude, they are not throwing him anything in the zone, and he's swinging over and under everything. But yeah, Chad Patrick, dog, what an animal. Forgot
yeah.
about him almost.
So like when you go from a rocky first couple of innings to then Miz coming in and lacking some control and shutting it down, and then with three Patrick coming in, and you're like, oh yeah, 4-run lead to Koenig, Uribe, and McGill, and you're like, that'll do it. Good night, folks. And then you sort of think, oh, I've got to do a little bit of a broadcast with my mate Jason, so maybe not good night just yet, but might bunch off in a couple of minutes here if that's all right.
Yeah,
It's
I was about
six
to say.
a.m.
Yeah, we should wrap up soon. So, any final thoughts, statements, prayers you want to say before we get an off day and we send the team over to AmFam South?
Oh, well, it is an afternoon game, and the Cubs are 2-0 down. I wonder if you might get a solid Brewers contingent at that game. Okay, I'm gonna say like 20% of that crowd could be Milwaukee Brewers fans. I'm taking the over under there, Jason.
I'm taking the under, man. I don't know how many Cubs fans you've met, but these people will abandon their families to watch the Cubs in the postseason, dog. So, I mean, it would be cool. I think the Brewers deserve more fans, and the fans in Milwaukee, to their credit, have shown up and shown out in a big way.
Yeah.
And I think that's like take some credit for winning. I mean, that spirit and the energy definitely goes a long way. Comes to Wrigley, dog. I've never been. I've had the most random people ever tell me that I need to go. They don't know anything about baseball, but they know about Wrigley. So we'll see, dude. I think it's gonna be a fun time. I think it's gonna be an electric atmosphere, regardless of what happens and what the result is. Like, I think that's just gonna be like it's gonna be postseason baseball. You know.
Yeah. Ups and downs. Anything else to add, Jason?
Anything else to add? Man, I love the energy. I know like they were already up pretty big towards the second half of the game, but these guys do not take their foot off the gas. They're running out infield singles. They're putting the pressure on the defense. Like, I think it's interesting. Nico Horner had a big error in game one, and then
Mm-hmm.
Dansby made a. I mean, it didn't result in any runs, but he made a big throwing error in this
Mm-hmm.
game. And those two middle infielders are guys that are probably two of the best. That's like probably the best middle infield defensive package of any team in MLB. And you can kind of see like watching a 5'6" guy and a 5'9" guy run around the bases at the speed that they are. It stresses you out, and it makes you make mistakes that you normally
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't. And so I think like that's an encouraging sign. I know like in years past they'll get behind and it kind of does seem like they give up. Where like, oh, we're down running this one run in the seventh. Like, why even
Yeah.
bother? Let's just wait for next year. Part of that just could be like they're excited for being ahead. I don't know how they're gonna play from behind past again the first inning, but I love to see the hustle and I love to see the grind set mindset, and I'm hoping that that's gonna be kind of ubiquitous throughout the remainder of this October run. But regardless, man, this is a fun team to watch. Whether you're a Brewers fan or not, if you're a fan of baseball, I think it would be good for you to tune in and just kind of see how the game is played from their perspective.
Absolutely. It's fun. Even
Awesome.
saying that, the amount of even national writers or national publications that just say, "Do you know what? I just want to watch the Brewers play because they play like the game is supposed to be played."
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
having fun with
they
it.
yeah, exactly. And they don't take themselves too seriously. It seems, well, very seriously, but they don't they don't overburden themselves or anything. It's just one pitch at a time, baby.
Yeah. Deep down, I'm hoping for a Mariners Brewers World Series. I think that would be like very interesting.
And
We'll see
who would
if,
you like to win that matchup, Jason?
dude. You know the way I see it, it's like watching your two kids fight for the UK heavyweight title. Like either way, you're coming out on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't really care. I mean, I win both ways. One team wins, one team loses. Like,
You're coming into that fight with two cakes, and you're just saying, I just have to write the names on each, saying, oh, really hard luck on one side. Here's a cake, though.
yeah, I literally,
Congratulations. Always knew you were going to win, and just, change the names around.
yeah. If the, I mean, to be honest, I feel this with every World Series just because that's just who I am. But I feel like, especially with the Brewers and the Mariners, I'm like, this is an unlosable result. Uh, just grateful to be a part of it. Cool. Thank you all for joining us. We're gonna be logging off. We're gonna do this again after Game 3 as well. I think it's gonna be at a much friendlier time for all you folks not in Ireland and also not on the West Coast like me. But until then, we will see you. Peace out, everybody.